choice in life: planting in the spring or begging in the fall. Or get somebody to do it for you. See, those are about the only alternatives. Now here's what else you must do. Take advantage of the springs quickly, because there's only a few. Just a handful of springs have been handed to each of us. They don't come forever. Life is fairly brief. So you got to read every book you can get your hands on what to do with your springs while they're here. And take advantage, they soon run out. So whatever you're going to do with your life, you got to get at it. Don't just let the springs pass. Learn how to protect your crops all summer. You got to take care of what you start. Sure enough, as soon as you've planted your garden in the spring, the busy bugs and the noxious weeds are out to take it. And here's the next bit of truth. They will take it unless you prevent it. And that's the third major skill to learn. You've got to learn to prevent the intruder from taking all the good you start. It's one of the challenges. All good will be attacked on this planet. Maybe not the next one we get to, but on this one, all good will be attacked. Every garden will be invaded. Not to think so is naive. All values must be defended. Political values, social values, community values, family values, marriage values, friendship values, business values. Every garden must be tended all summer. Learn how to reap in the fall without complaint. Learn to reap come harvest time without complaint. Take full responsibility for what happens to you. It's one of the highest forms of human maturity, accepting full responsibility. It's the day you know you've passed from childhood to adulthood, the day you accept full responsibility. Learn to reap in the fall without apology. Without apology if you do well, and without complaint if you don't. That's maturity. It's not what happens, it's what you do. What happens is about the same. You might put that in parentheses here. Same. What people do, that's what's different. Anything can happen, right? Everything can happen. I've heard all the stories. I've been one of the stories. Hey, we could all tell stories all night long, right? Happenings. Anything can happen. Everything can happen. Anything can happen. But it's not the happenings. It's what you do about it. Somebody says, yeah, but you don't understand the disappointments I've had. Come on. Everybody's had their share. Disappointments are not special gifts reserved for the poor. Everybody has them. The difference is what you do about it. Starting tomorrow, what are you going to do that'll make a change in your life's direction? Good question. What are you going to do starting tomorrow that'll make a difference? Now see, if you don't do something starting tomorrow that'll make a difference, guess what? It's gonna be the same. And see, that way you can guess what the next 5 years are going to be like. Look at the last 5. Because the next 5 are going to be like the last 5 unless you, major key, tomorrow, change it all. Or change a little, or change something, or don't change. It's choice time. You can do whatever you want. But it's nice to know any day you wish you can change your whole life. What can you do starting tomorrow that'll make a difference? And reach down inside of you and come up with some more of those remarkable human gifts. They're there, waiting to be utilized. And then change anything for you you want to change. And I challenge you to do that because you can change. If you don't like how it is for you, change it. If it doesn't suit you, change it. If it doesn't please you, change it. If it isn't enough, change it. And I challenge you to do that because you can change. See, you don't ever have to be the same again after tonight, only by choice.
All right. Hope you guys like that video. Start with what drives you. Jim Rohn, he's a great great personal development speaker. He's really good. One of my favorite of all the different ones. Um, Hope you guys enjoyed that. And if you guys don't have access to the Golden Circle area, yeah, it's pretty much you can get it with anything, even free training. Gonna start having it where we can have Golden Circle with everyone. But yeah, there's lots of motivational videos within there, and actually might as well bring this up. I posted something on my story yesterday, and it goes something like, it's easy to give up, it's harder to keep going. It's a saying that some people say, like, it's easy to give up, it's harder to keep going, and it was something that I don't agree with. And the reason why I don't agree with it is because I think it's easy to keep going and it's hard to give up, because purpose is what keeps you on track to keep going. And this is something that some people need to hear, where it's a different shift of mindset. Yeah, and doing these personal development trainings, it helps keep me on track with the mindset stuff. Something that I actually mentioned to mentees or even to people in here, things that I do early morning when I start off is I start off with listening to about, from the first 30 minutes from when I wake up, I listen to personal development. This is really helpful, and you don't have to go within like the Market Masters Academy website area, but it's inside of the Golden Circle. There's also like the training area, but it's all the way at the bottom here where it says mindset training. There's just a bunch of different trainings, mindset mastery, and just a bunch of stuff that I've gone through myself already. But easily, just by going on YouTube, you can look up like personal development, and just like see Jim Rohn. He's one of the top ones on there. Tony Robbins is really good. Eric Thomas, that's like more of a hardcore one. There's lots of stuff, but I suggest doing this early on in the morning. Get your day starting well, and then working towards what you have a passion towards. I've seen a lot of people through the years get into Forex, but then they decide that they want to quit. And part of the reason why they want to quit is because they don't have a vision bigger than maybe just making money. And yes, it's nice to make money, but it's more than just money. And actually, in this video that I played here, it was talking more than just the money side. It's like having a reason, having that purpose in place that's going to keep you going. So anyways, I thought I'd start off this meeting that way, some personal development for you guys, get some motivation in. I know most of you are already motivated just by showing up here. That's key. Showing up is the first step. Next step is, applying and practicing, and just repetition over and over again. That's how I was able to become better in trading and business, and different other investments, is because I've just been practicing over and over. And what people don't see behind the scenes is I'm still practicing. It's not like I'm done. It's never a finishing thing. It's always getting better and better. And there's no such thing as perfect. I'm sure you guys have heard that, and that I believe that is true. There's no such thing as perfect, but there's such thing as just getting better and better and improving your skills. And there is such thing as being the best as well. So that being said, I want each of you to really pay attention in this portion here. There's going to be some key things that some people might know in here. I actually looked at the people that registered. There was people who registered that most were beginners, very few like expert, and a couple like intermediate traders. So I was reviewing through all of those. I noticed most of you guys are beginners. So I'll be doing some beginner stuff, but also I'll be covering everyone else as well, from intermediate to even expert traders, where this exact method that I use is pretty consistent. It's not the only thing that I use, but it's something that you can already start taking it and start making some money within the Forex market, or not even the Forex market. You're going to see how this applies inside of like crypto, stocks, really any market with charts. You'll be able to read them and be able to make some money. Now, there's no guarantee that you'll make some money, but it's methods that I'm using that make me money. So, all right, let's see what you guys are saying. Welcome, Angel, Cameron. Welcome in. I see we have a couple questions, going to be going through those before we start here. Let's see, DA Witch, welcome, Dana, Daniel, Darian. Let's actually put in the chat area where you guys are tuning in from. I know there's people from all different parts of the world, mainly in the US, but I've seen some people different countries. See, Canada, Virginia, Cali, Portugal, Las Vegas, Houston, Florida, Dana from Los Angeles, Australia, Australian here, that's awesome. LA, Tennessee, the Philippines. Wow, that is far. Florida, Los Angeles, Texas, Vancouver, Canada, Jamaica. Wow. Okay, so Abraham, I see you asked a question. Make sure to put that inside of the questions area. I'll be reviewing questions. Anything that you want to learn, I might be covering within the session. You know, there's going to be a limited amount of time. I do have to go by around 8:15 max Pacific Standard. So we got like about one full hour of training. So I'll try to cover as much as possible here, but mainly the parts that I'm planning on covering. Orange County, awesome. Yeah, I'm in Orange County. Reno, Nevada, Jamaica, Texas, UK. Awesome. Maryland. Okay, so a couple questions. Will these lives be on selected nights? So to answer this question, I am planning on doing more training sessions pretty consistently within like the Market Masters Academy community. So there will definitely be more sessions, sessions for like either the Golden Circle community or like people who are more advanced, like the 7-day FX Mastery members. There will be more of a different style training. It's more advanced because it doesn't make sense for me to cover advanced stuff with people who are just starting off, rather than someone who has gone through the training portion. How do you top-down analysis and which one to focus more on? I'll probably answer that question by tonight with this training. Okay, what's your average monthly ROI? Will this live be saved? Average monthly, it varies. Yeah, it varies. I don't really have like an average. Some months are pretty big. I've had months where it's not so good. But I'm going to be going through the ones that are like the strategies that keep me consistent. Will this live be saved? Yes, it will. It's actually right now on YouTube. I'm actually looking at YouTube. Hey, Ruben from Santa Barbara. When is the next 7-day mastery? So the 7-day FX mastery, the next one's going to be most likely after travel. We're going to be going to Greece pretty soon, maybe Turkey, possibly Jordan. We're still trying to see on 2 locations for sure: Greece, Italy, and then we're going to go to probably Cabo, but Tulum. So we were out in Cancun like a couple months ago, but spend more time in Tulum. But after a couple travel trips, then I'll be focused on doing the training part. But it's definitely going to be changed up a little bit. For the most part, it's kind of the same, but there'll be a couple key things that have changed, and even some templates for the MetaTrader 4. I have the 3.0 version of it, which is pretty helpful. Okay, so I'm gonna get started with the training, you guys. I appreciate you guys being in here, and let's get going. All right. So first off, if you guys were in the live analysis, USD, JPY, and Euro USD hit, we'll actually go over reasons why I got inside of Euro USD yesterday. Things I didn't cover during the live analysis, but you'll see during this this training, and it'll make more sense. But let's get into a little bit on the basics for you guys that are brand new, real quick. As far as the trends go, there's different directions. We have uptrend, which is called bullish. We have consolidation, which is going sideways. Consolidation, and then there's downtrend. So there's really only 3 different ways that trends can go: uptrend, sideways, or downtrend. Now, as far as when trends are going in an uptrend, so one of the time frames that I'm looking at is going to be the 4-hour time frame for trends. So as of now, if you can see, I'm on the 1-hour time frame. 1 hour is indicating that it's 1 hour worth of time that it takes for each of these candlesticks to open and close. Some of you guys might not know about candlesticks, but it's just basically 1 hour by the time it takes for it to open and then close. So like if I do a replay here, this is going to be a fast replay, but basically each of these candlesticks represents 1 hour's worth of move. So as far as that goes, we're looking at the 4-hour for the trends. So I'm going to switch the chart to the 4-hour. I'm analyzing on tradingview.com if you guys are not familiar. And if you can see on this 4-hour here, we can see how it's going up, doing like an uptrend right here. We have what's called like higher high, higher low, higher high. Usually after the higher high, you're expecting a higher low to then continue going into the uptrend. So it's just following which way the trend is going and basically trading with the trend. So I'm looking for trends on the 4-hour, seeing like higher high points and higher lows. So these are like the high points right here. And then these are the low points right here. One way that you can think about like the high points or the low points are like mountains. There's a peak of the mountains, and then there's these areas in between the mountains, which are the valleys. These are the lows. And you're just figuring out which way the trend's going. Like any if even if you were to show a kid like which way is this going, like is it going up, is it going down, like they would know. You being more smarter, like not a kid, you know, we know that it goes up and then down and then up and down. It's basically going in a zigzag every time it's going in an uptrend or a downtrend. Like here in this area, it's going in a downtrend. And for this downtrend, it's going on a zigzag going down. We have these high points that is going lower and lower. And then we have these low points that are going lower. And so we just see that it's going down. And we need to know which way the direction of the market's going. So the 4-hour time frame is going to be that time frame to look at. Now, there's areas of reversal when it's going on a uptrend, downtrend. There's certain patterns that I'm looking for in the market. And by the way, these strategies that I use is what's called price action. So I'm looking at what action is happening with the price. That's basically what the strategy is. And so certain patterns in the market, certain things that I see within the market is telling me which direction the market's going to be going. So I can predict whether it's going to be going down or it's going to be going up. And part of trading is you want to be right in which way it's going. Is it going in an uptrend? So then if it's going in an uptrend, you would buy the currency. If it's going in a downtrend, you would sell the currency. But pretty basic. It's actually, most of this method that I'm going to show you is basic, but also people who are experts need to understand this, because I even get down to the basics when doing my own trades. I keep it as simple as possible. I don't overcomplicate my trading. It's really just seeing which way the trend's going and getting in at a perfect area. To get in at that perfect area, it's going to take a bit more practice. And again, there's actually no such thing as perfect, but there's such thing as like the best areas to get in on. So for our time frame, we're looking at the trend, and now when I see the trend going into an uptrend, there's certain patterns that I'm looking for to predict that it's going to be going into a downtrend. Some of you guys might know if you have gone through some of the training portion, but some people don't. And when the trend is going in an uptrend, I'm looking for 3 patterns that tell me it's going to reverse. All right, so these 3 patterns right here, correct? Jose put it inside the chat area. So if you see what I wrote there, I'm looking for 3 patterns that tell me it's going to reverse, but it's when the trend is going in an uptrend. So you have to see that it's doing like higher peaks of the mountain, if you want to consider it that way to make it easier. So it's doing higher highs and then higher lows. So while it's going in the uptrend, then there's those 3 patterns. The first one is going to be called double top. And double top, what it shows you is there's 2 peaks of the mountain that are even with each other. So they're right next to each other, like how it is here. So that's one of them, double top. The other one is triple top. And if you guys can guess how that looks, it's going in a uptrend, doing higher highs, higher lows. And then we see 1, 2, 3 even tops right next to each other. These are the 3 tops here. And so this is showing us that it's going from an uptrend, giving us this pattern. We're expecting it for it to reverse. And then the last one is called head and shoulders. So for the head and shoulders, I'll do it on this side here. So it has to be going in an uptrend. And then what we see is one high peak, then it comes down. This low is usually like kind of next to the previous one. And then it comes up to do a right shoulder and then coming down like that. So this is the left point right here. This is the left shoulder, the head, which is a top point. That's the head right there. And then this is the right shoulder right there. So it's doing like a lower peak of the mountain right there. And then that's that head and shoulder pattern. Now, if we go onto the charts and kind of try finding these, so we have to see that the market's going in an uptrend, and then we look for certain patterns that tell us it's going to be dropping down. So kind of in this area, it's showing right here, like left, head, and then right here, it slightly comes up right there. So that's like the head and shoulder pattern right there. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder there. And so after we see that pattern, then it starts going into the reversal. As you can see, it's going from an uptrend to then a downtrend. So that's why that's one of the top ones that I'm looking for as far as patterns. Let's find another one here. So going into the uptrend, this area is kind of like a head and shoulders. If you can see, like left, this is a really tall head right there, and then right shoulder right there. And it was going in an uptrend to then a downtrend after that here as well. So this currency pair, Euro USD, has a lot of head and shoulders from what I'm seeing, but here's another head and shoulders. It's going up and then down. So basically, anytime you see those patterns, it might take a while to look for all the different ones, but there's areas that I'm looking for to break out. Um, Areas that I'm looking to enter in on a trade. So for these sort of patterns, we're looking more for a sell trade. And basically for the sell trade, so there is something called neckline, and with triple tops, these 2 points in between the triple top, it has to be in between the mountain areas. So like 1, 2, 3, right between the first one and the second one, it's this point here. Right between the second and third is this point there. We draw a line from this first point coming across like that. And this line is a line where we're waiting for price to break through that line. And when the price breaks through, that's when we get in for a sell. Now, how long of a sell do we get in for? The answer is the distance from the top of this triple top down to this neckline. So I'm going to write right here neckline so you guys can confuse what that line is. So neckline is that line that I drew through here. So it's a distance from the top to that neckline is how much it should go down once it breaks through. So we would know for this one, we would sell all the way down to about this price right here. Stop loss, I'm not going to be covering over stop loss just yet, but usually it's going to be above like a resistance area with good risk to reward. That's little extra there. But we do want to aim for this target here. Head and shoulders is also very similar to triple tops. It's the first, so the left shoulder to the head, this point in between, and then the head to the right shoulder, it's this point right here. We would do a line coming across like this. And so the distance from the head to the neckline on this one is the distance that it should drop once it breaks through. Now we have to wait for that breakthrough to happen in order to get in for a sell. So we would sell this currency, and then take profit down in this area, stop loss. I usually keep it above the right shoulder. And yeah. Now, hope I'm not going too fast for you guys. I know some of you guys already know this, so that's why I'm going kind of faster, getting into the more advanced area. And then, awesome, thanks for letting me know. So double top is one that's a little bit more complicated. Usually for double top, I'll get the previous high, so this point here, and then I'll get this point right there. And then I'll do a line coming across from this point to this point, and that right there would be my neckline. So when the price breaks through the neckline, so it broke through right in this area here. When it breaks through, the distance from the top of this double top down to the neckline is a distance that it should drop. And so we would sell once we see it breaks the neckline, we would sell. We know how far down it's expected to go. And you'll see how almost every single time when you place these type of trades, when you notice these patterns, almost every time it does hit those areas. So like example, back at the charts, let's go back to like this head and shoulders that I pointed out here. Neckline for this one would be this point here between the left shoulder and head, and then from the head to the right shoulder, it would be like this point here. Doing a line coming across, distance from the head to neckline is a distance that it should drop once it breaks through. Now, not always does it come and it hits right away. Sometimes you do see this where it comes about like halfway, 75%, and then it comes back up, doing what's called a retest, and then it finally finishes the where it's expected to go, which is down here. So we would sell, and this would have been another point of head and shoulders that I pointed out previously. Okay, this is actually a good one here where it's a head and shoulders. We can see left, head, right shoulders. You can see that it was going in an uptrend, so that's accurate that this is a head and shoulders. And neckline for this would be from left and head, it would be this point here, and then from head to right shoulder, it would be that point there. So this is why the neckline is important, and we want to wait for the neckline to be broken. In this case, it was not broken, so we would not enter in for a sell in this trade. But if it was to break through, the distance from the head to neckline is a distance that it's expected to drop once it breaks through. It didn't do that in this case. This one here, it did break through. Neckline is like that. Distance from head to neckline is a distance that it's expected to drop down. So this one pretty much perfectly right at the price here. Actually broke out right over here. So yeah, this one would have hit perfectly, and then it went back into place. So and I haven't covered the triple top or double top just yet. I'll cover the double top just because that one's, I mentioned, it's a little bit more complicated. So right here in this area, I can see a double top. It was going in an uptrend, doing higher highs, higher lows. Going to the uptrend, we see 0.1 and 0.2. Both of them are pretty much even with each other right there. And so neckline for this would be the previous high right here to this middle point. And so we do a line coming across like that. When the price breaks through, it's the distance from the double top up there to the neckline is the amount that it should drop down to. So you can already see just by showing this, it's pretty accurate, and it's almost every single time that you notice this, it will hit that target price. Not guaranteed. You know, there's nothing guaranteed with trading, but the thing is we're getting in areas where it's consistent and it's most likely going to hit its profit level. So you guys practice this if you're brand new. Look for these all over. Do a bunch of what's called back testing. So you look at what happened in the past. Oh, perfect. Right here, it's kind of doing a triple top. 1, 2, 3. Neckline would be from the first top, second point, this point to here, drag across. So we see that it breaks out right in this area here. And so it's the distance from this top to neckline. It's the distance that it should drop down. So we're getting in perfect areas to sell or to buy. Now going against the trend, it's not really recommended, and you'll see why with getting into more on the advanced side of the strategy. So let's go back over here. Okay, so we have double top, triple top, head and shoulders. Now I mentioned when it's going in an uptrend and then expected to reverse going in a downtrend. So these are the patterns when it's going in an uptrend. But what about the patterns going from a downtrend to then going in an uptrend? So if it's going in a downtrend, doing lower lows, lower highs, what patterns do we look for the reversal? And it's going to be the exact opposite of what it is on an uptrend. So instead of double bottom, or sorry, I just gave the answer there. Instead of double top, it's double bottom. So double bottom would look something like this, where it shows 1 point at the bottom, 2nd point at the bottom. So now we're not looking at the peak of the mountains, we're looking at the bottom. So there's the bottom of the price, and then there's the top of the price. So, and it's the exact opposite of the double top, how I do the neckline as well. So it would be like this point here to this point here. That's how I would draw my neckline for double bottom, and then going into the uptrend. If I see a triple bottom, now I have to see that it's going into a downtrend first. Triple bottom would show me 1, 2, 3 bottoms right next to each other like that. The neckline for this would be this peak right here and this peak right here. From the first bottom and the second bottom, it's that point, and then the second bottom to the third point is this point here. Drawing a line coming across like that, we know the distance from the bottom to neckline is a distance that it will go up. So it's like the exact opposite. And if you think about it, if I was to flip my head around and see the market backwards, it's basically the exact same thing. It's just now on the bottom side. So you have to train yourself on how to be able to see this when it's going on an uptrend, and then when it's going on a downtrend. Now for the head and shoulders, it's going to be inverted head and shoulders. So it would be like this. Left shoulder, head, and then this right shoulder right there. So it's called inverted head and shoulders. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder there. From the left shoulder to the head, it's this point right here. And then from the head to the right shoulder, it's this point there. We get the line on those 2 points, exactly where it's touching both top points. And then it's the distance from the head to the neckline coming across. Now, now someone asked if we can invert the tools. So you can invert the tools, or not the tools, but you can invert the chart. Now I don't invert my chart, but I know there is a way. I just don't do it myself. I think to invert, you would just do like USD euro, and it's basically backwards. But the right way of doing it is euro USD. So yeah, it just makes it more complicated. And there might be another way to invert it. I just don't do it. I'd rather train myself to see it as I see it. So like down here in this area, if you can see, there's a left shoulder, head, right shoulder there. That's an inverted head and shoulders while it's going in a downtrend. So you have to see that it's going in a downtrend first to be considered an inverted head and shoulders. From left shoulder to head is this point here to that point. And then the distance from head to neckline is a distance that it's expected to go up. So for this type of trade, we would be buying to aim for this target right there. So it's pretty simple, but this one alone is pretty consistent. So this is one of my key tools here. And now I didn't mention where I'm looking for the reversal patterns, all right? I mentioned the trends is I'm looking for the trends on the 4 hour, but where I'm looking for the reversal patterns, and this is getting more advanced, so let's try to keep up here. So if I see it's going in a downtrend on the 4 hour, let's say we see lower lows, lower highs. What I'm doing is on the 4 hour, I see that it's going in a downtrend. But on the 1 hour time frame, so I'll actually write it down here. On the 4 hour, I'm looking for the trend. And on the 1 hour or the 15-minute, the lowest. 15-minute would be the lowest. I'm looking for reversals, reversal patterns. Okay, so this is where you have to wrap your head around this concept here. It's a little complicated getting into like advanced stuff, but it's actually pretty simple when you really think about it. So on the 4 hour, let's say we see this going in a downtrend. So it's doing lower lows here, and then it's doing lower highs, lower peaks of the mountain, right? Now when it's doing this right here, I see this on the 4 hour, but then I zoom in to the 1 hour time frame, and I look in this area here, and I see it's doing an uptrend. So like higher highs, higher lows, going into an uptrend on the small time frame. And so I'm looking for the reversal pattern in a key area where I know it's expected to reverse. So like this area right here, I would know it's expected to reverse. And then I look for like a left shoulder, head, right shoulder, or any sort of pattern that we've gone through. I look for that, And so I know when to get in for a sell. Now, I mentioned that for head and shoulders, if we were to see that, it's the distance from head to neckline. So that's like a smaller trade right there. I would consider this kind of like a scalping trade, just kind of like quick. And the longer term trade would be looking from far away and seeing that it's going on a downtrend. So it should be dropping all the way down, like how I predicted here. Like it would drop all the way down and do like continue the downtrend, doing lower lows, lower highs, going with the trend. So that's how I look at the market, seeing which way the trend's going on the 4-hour, but then zooming in, and then being kind of like I mentioned this is kind of like a sniper, where you see it from far away and then you zoom in until you find a good trade. Now, normally I'll get in for the head and shoulders for like a quick trade like this, but then I'll also get in for another trade for a longer term trade. And usually the very minimum that I would catch this for is this previous low over here. Now, some of you might know about support and resistance. Basically, this is like support. I can actually cover that in this training. Actually, it's 7:42. I can possibly cover that. I might be doing more trainings like next week, and we'll cover more into these different topics. But here, this is an area of support. So basically, the price is expected to drop down to here or even lower because it's in a downtrend, right? Just like on this side over here, when the price was doing like a lower high over here, it's expected to break through. But to be safe, we want to keep this as a take profit area because it might do a bigger like double bottom right here. So if you can kind of see how it's doing like one bottom, two, if it was to come here and then reject off of here, then that's probably going to be like a triple bottom. If it does this, then it might do a triple bottom here. And so we know like on the bigger time frame, we could see the neckline, and we know if it comes up, the distance from here to the bottom is a distance that it's expected to go up. And that's more of a longer term like buy right there. But so I'm not really looking too much on the reversal patterns in the bigger time frame, but I am in a way more for seeing which way the direction of the trend is going. Because as I mentioned, the 4 hours where I'm looking for the trend, and then the 15 or the 1 hour I'm looking for the reversal. Now, I see there's a couple questions here. So the 4 hour is key for the trends. Yes, I do use indicators, and I use indicators as like extra confirmations, but not my main thing. The main thing I'm looking at is the price action stuff that I'm showing you here. I'm looking at price action stuff. I just answered this one. Do you eyeball it from experience? Yeah, so TradingView is really useful for marking up charts. It's way better than marking up on MetaTrader 4. There are some indicators or things that I look for on MetaTrader 4. It's a certain template. Basically, it will tell me like when to sell and buy. So it's like an extra confirmation. My thing with trading is I use different strategies. One strategy can work, like just from what I back tested with reversal patterns, that strategy alone can work. But I mix that with multiple things to then get better and better with my trading. And that's how you become like an expert analyst, because you're getting it at the times that you're most likely going to win. Not 100%, but as long as your odds are good, you have proper risk management, you're going to be consistent. And yes, this will be saved on, it will be on YouTube, and then I'll share a link within the group, on our chat group. Okay, so going on to this next part. Um, so I'm going to show you guys what I mean as far as going from the 4 hour to then the 1 hour. All right. Now, not always will you find um, will you find areas that have this. It's only sometimes that you will find it, but there's multiple currency pairs, so it's you pick and choose which one you want to get into. So let's look at an area with trends. And by the way, some people, when they look at the actual candlesticks, they can get confused. And part of the way that can help you not get confused is like drawing these lines in between the candles to get rid of all the noise that happens in between. So I don't use that because I have like experience with seeing the way that things flow, but it can help out if you're just starting off. So let's look at a nice trend here. Actually, we'll cover over support and resistance right now, just because that piece right there is actually what I'm looking for as well with trends. I don't just see like higher highs and higher lows like that. I'm also doing like my support line like that. So with support and resistance, real quick, support and resistance is basically certain zones within the market where price is going to go there and either bounce up or bounce down. And the best way that I can explain this, to keep it as simple as possible when thinking about a building. So like right now I'm inside of a building, and within the building, there's different floors. And so this is like a horizontal support and resistance example right here. And when trend's going in an uptrend, what usually happens is it's hitting the ceiling and then it comes back down. When it breaks through the ceiling, then it has a new ceiling to go up to, and then it comes down to the floor. Breaks through the ceiling and then comes down to the floor. When you see uptrends, it's just breaking through ceilings, and then sometimes it comes down to the floor and it just breaks ceilings and it comes down to the floor. So this is like just a way to see how it's going for an uptrend. But then if it's consolidating, so going sideways, it's what it's showing you is it's just staying in one floor. It's just going off the floor, going up to the ceiling, off the floor, ceiling, right? And then when it breaks through the floor, then it should go down to the next floor, and then the ceiling after that, then the floor, then the ceiling. And so it's just bouncing off these areas. Now, when I was referring to ceilings is like the resistance. It's the top of the market. And then support, or the floor, as I mentioned, is the support. So that's what support and resistance is. We have the floors and then we have the ceilings. Ceilings is the top, and then the floors are the bottom. When the ceilings are broken, it now becomes a new support. So it was once resistance, once it's broken, it's now support. Good question. As far as support and resistance, it varies based off of where you want to see it. I go out into like the bigger time frames, like weekly. Weekly is usually the very max that I would go out to, just to see what's happening on a high time frame, and then I get closer and closer. So usually for the weekly, I'll have like my horizontal line, like something like this, and then for the smaller time frames, I would use the horizontal raise, just kind of like a shorter area. So I'll just, yeah. So usually the weekly, and then I'll drop down. So this is for horizontal support and resistance, but there's another type of support and resistance, which is trend line support and resistance. And basically for trend line support and resistance, it's kind of the same concept of it's going like within a floor. The only thing is you have to tilt your head to kind of see this. Now, I don't tilt my head when I'm looking at trends, but like to see the floors. Basically, like this is like support because it's the bottom of the price, and then this is like resistance. So you can see it's within one floor right here. And for trends, you're really just getting this bottom point to this next point, and then you're just drawing the trend. Like over here in this horizontal area here, it's like connecting this point and this point would give us the support. Now keep in mind that for uptrends, oops, not there. For uptrends, I'm mainly looking at the support. And the reason for that is because the support area is the lows of this trend. So usually it's going to come up, come back down into this support trend line, hit here, and then bounce up. And then once we see that it breaks through that support trend line, then there's a chance it's going to be reversing. And then that's when we look for reversal patterns up here to then show us that it's going to be going down. And then when it's going on a downtrend, I'm mainly focused on resistance on the trend line. So it's getting this top peak here to this second peak, and then just drawing that coming down like that. So then anytime the price comes up to these areas here, we're expecting for price to drop down. And I'm mainly focused on the resistance for downtrends. So like over here, how I did this support trend line, this one's like a slightly strong uptrend. You see the diagonal right here, it's not like a really strong uptrend, but it's like kind of slanted a bit. And then we can see over here in this area, by connecting this point and this point, it's showing that it's now a stronger uptrend right here. And so just by doing this line right here, we can see that it bounced over here, and then it did a double top over here. We see neckline for this was not broken. So we wouldn't have gotten in for a sell on that double top, and actually was just consolidating within this area. You can see it's consolidating here. We have an area of resistance up here, and it was just bouncing off this floor and then it just broke through. So it's important to know like the trends. And so on the 4-hour time frame, I'm looking at the support for an uptrend or a resistance on a downtrend. Since I mentioned I'm looking for trends. So like in this area here, this is a support of an uptrend. Now, I mentioned I go into the 1 hour to look for any reversals. And I look for the reversals when the price is at this low right here. So right now I'm on the 4-hour, I'm gonna go down to the 1 hour. And so if you can see here, it's doing like a left or 1 point, second point, and then this is kind of like that third point right there. It's doing a triple bottom right there. 1, 2, 3 bottoms right there. It's doing a triple bottom while it's at this area of support. My neckline would be right here from the first bottom to the second, that point, and then this point. And so I would be looking to buy this trade right here. Distance from here to the bottom is a distance that it should go up. And so this is like one of my areas to buy at. Like this is where I expect the price to go up to. And if you could see, it's pretty much at this previous high anyway, so there wouldn't be like a second trade there. I do have advanced methods that show me like where my second area would be at, like up here, for example, or my third area up here. But that's definitely like way more advanced. I can't cover over all of that by today. Let's look at this if it reverses. So that's a triple bottom. And yeah, you see how it just wicked into profit? Like that was a quick trade. We'll see if it breaks this resistance here. So it pretty much, well, there's wicks here, but let's see. Should be going up to here and then, yeah, down. If it breaks through this area, then it should be going up to this area here. But so you're likely to win the trade going with the trend. Now let's see right in this area if we can spot out any reversal pattern. The price dropped down. It's expected to do like a higher low area to then continue going into the uptrend. So let's see if we can spot out any trends or reversal patterns, I mean. So it's at this point now, it peaks below. Okay, I'm gonna go down to the 15 minutes, see if I can see anything better. And actually, I think with doing the replay, it doesn't allow it. So, oh yeah, it does. Okay, sometimes it doesn't, but let's see. Okay, so as of now, what I do see is kind of a head and shoulders, inverted head and shoulders. So left head, and it looks like it's about to do its right shoulder here, potentially. Neckline for this is distance from left to head, or not the distance, but this point and then this point here. So head to neckline is a distance that it should go up once it breaks through. So if it does drop closer to this head right here, then it's not considered a inverted head and shoulders. So we're going to see if it reacts off of here, which it did. That's the breakout right there. Would be placing a buy right here, enter here, take profit up here. And so let's see what happens. Speed this up a little more. Okay, stopped about halfway. Usually when it does stop halfway, it does do its retest. So that's kind of like the retest area. Let's see if it hits here and then bounces off, which it should most likely hit in this area. This is going to be the next part that I'm going to be covering here, where it's expected to hit here and then continue to go up. So let's see. And actually, let's zoom in a bit more. You can see here in this area where it's hitting this support, it's doing like a 1, 2, kind of third. If it stops here and continues going up, then it's considered the third point. Neckline for this would be like this. Distance from here to there is the distance that it should go up. Now, this is how you can do like a scalping trade off of here. Take profit here. But we know it's expected to go even higher because we mentioned on the distance is all the way up here. So it's going to see if it does. Okay, so that one was hit. And see if it does hit up here. As I mentioned, it's not 100% guaranteed, but it is likely to just based off the distance there. Well, there's a strong reversal. Could have been used, and there we go. So it hits target all the way up there. So by doing back testing like this is how you can start getting better with using these strategies. But that's how I would look from a far distance going with the trend. And then when I zoom in, I'm just like I mentioned, like a sniper, I'm zooming in and getting closer and closer to that point where I can find a good trade. Now there's multiple opportunities to get in on, and I'm just looking for the trends and looking for like lower lows and lower highs. Like I'll just point out this area here. Actually, we'll do a different area. Since I'm looking at the 4-hour. Okay, so right here. So right in this area, we can see that it's doing lower low. Actually, that's a higher low, but then lower low here, expecting a lower high right there going into a downtrend, right? So from connecting this point and this point, that would give me my resistance. And then I'm looking for this area here. And so I'm zooming into that area. And I'm going to see if I can spot any reversal pattern right there. So I would zoom into the 1 hour time frame. As I mentioned, that's where I'm looking for the reversal pattern. I can even chop the price a bit more, do like a support here. But we can see up here, it's doing like 1, 2. Not always will the second point be even, but as long as it's within that range, that area of like the first top and second top, we can kind of see this is like a triple top. Right, neckline right here, distance from, I'll do it from up here, this invisible area here to this neckline there, distance that it should drop down. So here it did drop down, and it dropped down to about there. Okay. Give me 1 sec, you guys. And I actually did that backwards. What I mean by backwards is I use the long tool instead of the short tool here. But so this would have been the early entry right there. You can see like it's a quick scalping trade. This is like meant for scalping there, but we know that that it's expected to drop all the way down to this low. Just because it's going on a downtrend, it's likely to go down to this area and even lower than that. So like on my more advanced strategy, I would get this point here. And those that know the advanced strategy know what I'm doing. But we can see it's at 50, 61.8 area right there, the target. And then expected to at least hit this area here or even lower to this negative 27%. Or if it breaks even lower than that, negative 61.8. Now, I mentioned I look at resistance when it's going on a downtrend, but sometimes I look at support when it's going on a downtrend as well. And mainly support for like how far the price is expected to go down to, because it does hit this area and possibly reject off of it. So I did mention mainly the resistance though. To sell, support mainly for take profit. So let's see this right here. We should be expecting the minimum to hit this this low right here because it's going with the trend. And so it hit it. If it breaks through, it should be going to this area or even lower. So we're going to see here. It looks like it's rejecting, kind of like support. There's a breakthrough. Should be expecting to hit this area now. Coming up like resistance now. Okay, so it hit this resistance on this trend line here, you can see. And then it's coming down to this area. And actually where the current price is at, I don't know what's going to happen, but if it does break through here, should most likely hit this area here, which is why I get the support. And there we go. It hit again like resistance on that trend line right there. So this is how you would look at the market, and basically with what I'm showing you here is already showing you strategies that you can start applying and getting in on. It does require practice, like even spotting out head and shoulders. I've seen some people, they get confused. I would say one of the things that you shouldn't get confused about is like, or where I've noticed a lot of people getting confused with reversal patterns, is they're not looking if it's an uptrend and then spotting like the double top, head and shoulders, and then triple top. That's why I say it has to be an uptrend. Some people, they'll see like it's going on a downtrend, but then they would, like this is a random example, but like we see it's going on a downtrend, but then they would see this as like one, like they would consider this a double top right there. And that's where it's completely wrong. They see it kind of backwards. So you want to see that it's going in a downtrend to then spot the triple bottom. We're looking at the bottom of the market to then look for it reversing. Yeah, but hope this is pretty helpful, Brandon. I appreciate that. You mentioned the line in the market. Thank you. Let's see. I see you guys are putting a bunch of questions. I can't get to everything just because I do have to get going in about like 10, maybe max 20 minutes. Currently working with this live. Yeah, and I suggest going through this live session again and like really getting down to it, maybe slowing it down a bit because I'm going kind of quick. Hopefully not too quick where you guys don't understand anything. But let's get into this next part here. And it is live. Someone said this is not live. It is live. Okay, so all right, so on to the next part. So this is a part where it's a concept of the market moving in threes. So if you think about like the triple top is doing a triple top. We're not mentioning like quad top where it's doing four tops. Triple top is like the very highest that it usually goes, and it does just 3 points. So as far as the market moving in threes, that's usually what you're going to see like for uptrends or downtrends. You'll see like one push coming down, then it comes back up. The second push coming down, then it comes back up. And then the third push coming down. And then usually after the third push is when it starts doing its reversal pattern to then start going the other way. And when it goes the other way, it's one push coming up, then back down. Second push coming up, then back down. Third push coming up, then reversal pattern, then doing the exact same thing, like three moves every single time. Even for triple tops, like head and shoulders, there's 3 points: the left shoulder, the head, and the right shoulder. The only thing is the double top is that doesn't have 3 points. And the double top I don't like as much, but it's still considered one of the patterns. It's just not it's a little more difficult just because the double top after that it might do a triple top. So that's why we want to make sure to have the neckline in place really well. So by the way, I can see on YouTube, because that's a free platform, there's haters in that area. Someone saying, show us something Baby Pips doesn't cover. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. I want to mention another thing about haters. They'll always be there. You can't stop them, but you can always show them with results. I guarantee they'll probably never own a Lambo. They're just going to keep talking in the background behind their screen, right? Okay, so as far as this concept right here, where the market moves in threes, I'm looking for the trends where, let's say it's going in a downtrend. We have this first point, this second point, and after getting the first and the second point on a downtrend, we have this resistance line, and I mentioned that's the resistance is mainly what I focus on. And so on this third point right here is my main area that I'm looking for to sell the market. You can't really know on the second point, and the second point isn't like fully confirming the trend until it goes into like a downtrend and then hits its third point and then continues to drop down. So this is the third point here. And I'll just mark off these other points. We have the first, second, and then when it's going on an uptrend, we have this first point down here, then the second, and then the third. So by connecting the first and the second, doing the support line, this third area right here is where we're looking at to buy this trade right there. Now this is off the 4-hour time frame. Because we're looking at the trends, we're looking for like 1, 2, 3. So looking at this live actually right now, and kind of reasons why I place certain trades right here. If you can see, we have like this area right here. This is considered the first point. This is a second point right there, and third point right there. So on this third point, it was confirming that it's going in a downtrend. We have these lower lows, lower highs, and so at that lower high area, that's when I zoomed in. So right now I'm on the 1 hour. I zoomed in and I looked to see if I can. Actually, this isn't the live area. This is where. Yeah, this isn't the live area, but we can see this was the example we mentioned earlier. This is the third area here. And then I mentioned the triple top, neckline, reverse, but that's the area where I'm looking for to sell the market because it's going with the trend, and because of 4 hour, it's a pretty big move as it's flowing through. Like even if I go into the daily and I look in this area, like it's showing me the downtrend, and I'm going with the trend. So mainly looking at the 4 hour. But what I mean is like the most recent trades. Those of you that are inside of like the signals platform have probably seen this or saw that I was selling. And so right here, so this is recently, we have this first point here, the second point. And by the way, sometimes that second point is the head and shoulders. If you can see, there's a head and shoulders right here. There's a left shoulder, then head, then right shoulder right there. So we know neckline is like that. Distance from head to neckline is a distance that's expected to drop. So it broke through, went about halfway, came back up doing the retest. I got in on the retest right there. And then I got in over here yesterday for another trade. I'll show you guys how I got in on that one too. But so this was a third area right here. And so when I see the third area there, I'm confirming that it's going on a downtrend because I see lower lows and I'm expecting that lower high. Mix this with a couple advanced strategies to figure out how high it's expected to go up to. And then I'm selling this area. So then I zoom in to the 1 hour and then I see what I can spot here. We can kind of see like left head, right shoulder right there. Neckline is it's like that. Distance from this head to neckline is a distance that it should drop. So that already dropped, and actually, so this was one of the trades that I placed. I got out a little earlier just because the previous low was a little bit higher, so I didn't want to make it any lower, like how it did drop down to. So it would have for sure hit that distance, but just to be safe, because there's a support area previously over here, I got out earlier. Good risk to reward, everything was good, and then looking for more trades because I'm expecting for this to just continue to drop down. And when I was zoomed in here, if you can see, this third area right here is also the first area of this downtrend here. We can see this first point and then this second point there for that head and shoulders pattern that it was forming here. At this third point, I was looking for a sell. So like, let me actually go on to what I was saying last night with publishing. By the way, those that were inside that live analysis saw that live before it even happened. But so it was this one right here. So I was expecting the short right there, and then it dropped down. Actually, there was some high impact on USD that even dropped it lower, but it hit and it was a pending sell order. But that's why you you want to go with the trend. You mainly want to place sells when it's going towards a downtrend, and mainly on this third point for the sell. I'll show you another one of these that I kept private on this side, but it was GBP NZD. Where are you? So if you can see this one right here. Now I didn't mark off 1, 2, 3, but I like, because I see it already. I marked it off just because I'm showing you guys, but here, if you can see, it's 1, 2, and then this is a third area right here. So I was looking for that reversal pattern, getting in for the trade. And if you can see, like, because you would be buying the low, you know it's expected to go to this high or even higher because it's going towards the uptrend. So this is where it's currently at now. It hit the 2000 micropip profit and didn't hit the 61.8. I expected that one a bit higher, but that was like another trade that didn't exit out, actually closed it. But by going with the trend, you would be getting in areas that is likely to go up to the next high. Okay. So I do have to get off pretty soon, but is there any questions that you guys have regarding this the strategy here? See, I'm looking through some of the questions here. So this one is going to be recorded. It's on YouTube, and I will be uploading it as well. I'll share the link inside of the group there. If you're inside of the chat group, it will be on there. Do I trade NAS 100? I do not know. Yeah, so I do the daily start, but you said we can go back and watch. I want to watch. There was the UJ, and maybe I might find a couple of these like 1, 2, 3 areas that I was getting in on. But these 3 points also applies to it applies on bigger time frames. And I mentioned mainly looking at the 4-hour, but even if we were go on to like bigger time frames like the daily or anything like that, like we can see how, for example, this would be considered like 0.1, then 0.2, then 0.3 right here. So we can zoom in inside of 0.3 and see if there's any reversal patterns to then catch this for a sell. And as it's dropping down, we can get into the smaller time frames and know it's selling there. And right now I can see it's at this area here. I'm just trying to see if it's going to break through, and then long term inside of here, you can see I mentioned right here sell zone. If it drops into this area, it's definitely inside of that sell area. But you can look at all time frames, and you can even spot patterns on bigger time frames too. Like here we see left shoulder, head, right shoulder. And this doesn't just apply for Forex, although that's mainly what I focus on. It's also for like crypto as well. So if we look at Bitcoin here, there's multiple areas. Just recently though, if you can see right here, it did like a kind of triple top right here, like triple bottom, 1, 2, 3, neckline right there. Price was broken, and then I'm expecting for this distance to be all the way up here to around the 44K range. But it was a distance from neckline to this bottom is what it's expected to rise. I actually did the same thing for Doge as well. In these areas where I spotted out like the the triple bottom. I was mentioning to buy here. And so is a distance from this bottom to neckline. It's a distance that it should go up. So that one hit. It's dropping down. If you can actually see right now what it's forming another triple bottom over here. 1, 2, 3, just keeps hitting off that 30 cent price. Neckline here, distance from here to here is a distance that it should go up. So if you are planning on buying, buy here, take profit here. But there's multiple areas where you can spot out like these different things. Like over here, there's that triple bottom going from a downtrend to then an uptrend. And even the same thing applies like following the trend, like 1, 2. This was the third point right here. Third point there, and expecting for it to continue to drop down. Again here, 1, 2, 3, spiked up. Actually, this area right here would actually be considered 1 point. Now try to grasp this part, and so the reason why this area right here would be considered 1 point is because we can see it came up and then it came down, but then it didn't break the high until like about around here. That was the next low to then break on this high. Because we want to see zigzags. Here would have done like zigzag like this and then consolidation. So it's like that wouldn't be considered the second point here, but this would be the second point, and then this would be the third point right here. So on this third point, this is where we zoom in and try spotting that reversal pattern to then continue buying that. And something else that you'll usually notice as well is like when it's going with the trend, let's say like lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, the distance from this point or this downtrend here is usually about the distance that it's expected to drop down after that second point. So even on the way up right here, this point right here is usually how much it's expected to go up when it reverses back up. So that kind of helps you like identify how low it's expected to go just based off of the movement of the trend. Like for example, here, kind of into this area here, but this uptrend here is about the distance here when it pushed up. And then also for dropping down, it was about that exact distance there. So from like this high here, just pretend this is over here. I'll move it over from here to here. That's about how low it dropped and then continue to go up. Multiple areas, you'll see that where it's like this distance is the same distance that it would drop. And then this distance going up is about the same distance it's going to be going up and then drop. All right, so hope that was useful. I'm going to be doing some Q&A sessions now. Okay, how do you stay consistent with your analysis? Or let me pull this up. So staying consistent with analysis, I'm looking for multiple confirmations before getting in on any trade. Mainly 3 or more confirmations with price action. I'm looking for certain things to get in. See some other questions here. Risk to reward, it really depends. Usually it's 1 to 2, and then like my second trade, so I'll usually place 2 separate trades. So the first one is like usually 1 to 2 or maybe 1 to 1, but then my second trade would be like a 1 to 2 or 1 to 3. Let's see. this strategy right here, you're mentioning about indices. So it can be applied to any market. Like yeah, even if you look at like gold or oil or anything like that, like let's do I don't even trade oil, but like let's do XAU USD. So same thing applies here. Like you can notice highs where it's like hitting off the third point and then coming down. You can spot out like support and resistance, and basically exactly the same as you would for Forex. And you can even see like when it's starting to reverse, and when it starts reversing, which areas you can start looking in on. I would consider this a second point, by the way, and then hasn't done the third point just yet. Yeah, everything's pretty much the same thing on multiple charts. Okay, let's see, favorite pairs you trade. Mainly the majors, anything with USD, I like looking at. Anything with USD, and you can study what the USD is doing just by looking at the index for the USD. The index for the USD is the DXY. The DXY, which will show you the dollar index. Not sure what's going on with my screen here. One sec. There we go. So the DXY. So looking at just specifically the USD, just like USD has 80% of the market's volatility. So it's important to know what's happening overall with the USD, and then like same applies with the DXY. You can see certain areas where it's expected to reverse or like going with the trend. So like let's do 4 hour. See trends on here. See this area where it's consolidating. Then it breaks out, going into the downtrend there. It's just looking at overall which way the trend is going, and then when you're looking at the currency pairs, like let's say Euro USD. So if the USD is strong, then Euro USD is expected to drop down. Like right here where I'm expecting price to go up, Euro USD was it actually dropped down pretty big on this spike when USD was going up. Like USD CHF, if I look at that, USD CHF should be like in a strong uptrend because USD is in the top, and then or USD is the base currency, and then the quoted is the CHF. I'm not sure what's going on with my screen here. It's kind of laggy. USD CHF. Yeah, so same applies. Like here, we see a strong uptrend that happened there. Or like if I look at USD CAD, it was going up because USD is the base currency. So yeah, USD CAD was going up. I was actually looking at USD CAD right here. I was buying in this area over here. All right, so that's about it for tonight. Lots of different topics that I've covered. If you guys have any questions regarding these topics or anything at all, just write it inside of the golden circle area, and then I'll try my best to help you guys out. But it is something you have to practice over and over. It does take a bit of time to get it down. So you can watch this video over and over until you start understanding these concepts. There's also some more free training that you can go through. If you go inside the Market Masters Academy website, there's a free training, and there's like lots of lots of different types of free trainings here. Then even getting into like the main one. So those that are beginners, like the Forex Trading 101, will cover some of the topics that I was covering over today, like patterns for sells or buys. So like we were covering patterns for sells, like double tops. So it shows like images and shows where to put the neckline and everything. It's just pretty useful to have these. But yeah, that's pretty much it, everyone. Appreciate everyone for taking the time being here with me today, and let's crush the rest of this week. Speak to you all later.